This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. So I think we were about to. Did we copy that WAR file, Jenkins WAR file? Did we copy the WAR file? No. So let's copy the WAR file now. So and then, so let's after that we'll just move on to the topics. So where do you copy the file to? On Tomcat, then the maps. So this is where we copy the WAR files. Now let me copy the WAR file. So that is then Jenkins WAR and to my present working directory. So Jenkins WAR is copied, and then you have Jenkins extracted. So try to get the IP address and then access that from remote. So that's, so you can check the Tomcat first. Is my Tomcat is loading? Yeah, Tomcat is loading. Then on Tomcat, so then Jenkins. So when Jenkins is loaded for the first time, and Jenkins needs to be unlocked. Okay, so we're going to unlock the Jenkins by copying an initial admin password. So this is your Jenkins unlock page. So copy the initial admin password into the Jenkins. But what is initial admin password? So initial admin password is used to unlock Jenkins. That's only for the first time, not every time. Okay. So unlock the Jenkins, then Jenkins will be up and running. Now, how do you get the initial admin password? So there is a path. In root, you have .jenkins. So what is .jenkins? .jenkins is Jenkins home directory. So for example, on Jenkins, I'm creating some files. Sorry, I'm creating some jobs. I'm adding some nodes. So whatever the configurations you do on Jenkins, and all these ones are available in Jenkins home directory. Where do you see the Jenkins home directory? In root.jenkins. Let's find out. So in root user directory, and list all files. Why all files? Because it is .jenkins, that's a hidden directory. So .jenkins, cd .jenkins, and ls. 1 second. And then ls. The file, the directory name is secrets, cd secrets, and then ls. There is initial admin password. So this is a password needs to be copied. Okay. Let's copy that, but I can't copy from VMware Workstation, so I just need to log in through PuTTY. Just go with PuTTY. So IP address. Just colors. Yeah, that should be okay. Not connecting. What? Wrong IP or what? IP address, correct. Yeah, now it's connecting. The password. So what was the path again? Root user directory. Right? Dot Jenkins. Sorry. Dot Jenkins. And then CD secrets. And the file name was initial admin password. This is the password. Just copy the password. Select it. There is initial admin password. Now copy that. So the version we have installed is 282, 2.282, and the latest is 283. Was it? What was the latest version? 283. Yeah. Now, so you have two options. One is install suggested plugins, or else install plugins which you want. Okay. Now I'm not going to install any plugins because I don't know anything about the plugins. I'm a very basic user. I don't know regarding the plugins. So I don't want to install any plugins. Simply I'm going to skip it. Close it. So that I can install these plugins in the future whenever it is required. Okay. Then now, so to log into this again in the future, I want to log into Jenkins again. How do you log into Jenkins again? With the username as the default username is admin. Okay, and then the password is the same password which we have used in the setup wizard. What is the same password means? Initial admin password. Now, so let's log in. Let's go with start using Jenkins. So this is Jenkins dashboard. Now, for example, let's say I just log out. What is the user we are login as? Admin. I want to log out. Then from next time onwards, you won't be seeing that initial admin unlock window. There won't be that. That window, unlock window is only for the first time when you start up your Jenkins. And from second time onwards, this kind of window appears. Now, here I log in. What is the username? And the password is, that's a password. Okay. So, but that password is not feasible to remember, right? It's not easy to remember. I want to change the password. Yes, you can change the password. How do you change the password? Then manage Jenkins. So what is manage Jenkins? Any setting, any configuration level setting you do on Jenkins, that is done through the manage Jenkins. What do you mean by configuration management settings? Plugins installations, node setup. Okay, I want to manage some securities. So user creation, all these things are done through the manage Jenkins. Now go to manage Jenkins. So we have manage plugins, and plus there is this manage users, not securities. So go with manage users. So why manage users means the user is already there. I want to change the password. Okay. So don't go with the securities. We'll talk about that later. So manage users. And what is the username? Admin. So just configure the user. and then the password. So give some password which you remember. I just give easy password like admin set. Okay. So since I've changed the password, what is my user I have logged in as? Admin. So I changed my password itself. That is the reason you get this message. Okay. Now back to Jenkins URL. That's our Jenkins URL. Enter. Now the username, user password. So we are logged. Okay. So this is how you create this is how you do the setup for Jenkins and change the password. But we talk about those users and creating those users and their permissions. We'll talk about all these things in the future, not now in detail. But the only thing I have done for today is change the user password, nothing else. If you still want to maintain the same password as this initial admin password, you can maintain it. That's your choice. But, so we have Jenkins ready. That means our master is ready. Next is set up the nodes or agents. Okay, master is ready. Now moving on to the second step, setting up the nodes, agents. How to do it? Now, manage Jenkins, and then scroll down. You have manage nodes. Now, so do you see any nodes? No. So what are we? We are. What is the page we are at? We are in the node page, right? So that means here I would be able to see list of all the nodes. Yes, of course I see a node. What is that node? Is master is a node? Yes, master itself is a node. So that is the reason you're able to run the jobs on the master. So now the question is how to set up master as a node. How do you set up master as a node? Master itself is a node. You don't need to set up that again. So master default itself is a node. You don't need to set up that as a node again. Remember this. But if you want to set up some other nodes, yes, you go with new node. Okay. Now talking about nodes, let's set up some nodes. So we're going to set up different types of nodes, Linux nodes as well as Windows. Okay, let's try with this. Now, when you go to Windows, so Linux, again, we'll be setting up two types of nodes in Linux. One is on an local instance, your virtual instance. Second one is on cloud, EC2 instance. So we're going to set up two types of nodes. One is a virtual node, other one is a cloud node. But here Windows, it's local only. Okay, or local instance. Now, first, try with creating a new node. What is the node I'm trying to setting up? So Linux node. Okay, Linux node. And then what is the agent type? Node type is permanent agent. What is the permanent agent? It's a plain node. What is a plain node? The node has no predefined configurations. So for example, I already have a node created. I have node 1 created. Then after that, I'm creating second node. I want to copy all the settings of node 1 into node 2. Then at that time, you don't create the permanent node. You copy the settings from node 1 to node 2. But here we are creating our first node, and that too I want to create a plain node with no predefined configurations. You go with permanent agent or permanent node. Okay, good. So what does it mean? Anyway, let's select it first. You can see these configurations. All the configurations are blank. So these are empty configurations, no predefined. Now let's create a node. How to create a node? Now from this page, in node setup page, So you can expect two questions. The first very question is how to set up a node and what are the configurations you do setting up a node. That's the first question. Second question is what is number of executors? So these are the two quite common questions. So what is number of executors, or else explain with the steps how to set up a node, or what are the important configurations you do set up. While setting up a node, I select number of executors and then some launch methods. So yeah, that's enough. These are the two important things. And also we have one more setting, remote root. Okay. But let's understand these settings. Now going on to first. Sorry. So go with the first thing is name of the node and give some description. Okay. Number of executors, I'll just leave it. But before we talk about all these settings, the first thing we concentrate is launch method. Okay. Let's talk about launch method. So what is a launch method? So there is a default launch method. What is that? Launch agent by connecting to the master. So this is the launch method. We use it whenever you want to launch your Windows node. Launch agent by connecting to master. But when we launch Linux nodes, the launch method is different. The launch method is launch agent via SSH. So these are the different launch methods we have for Windows and then Linux. Launch agent via SSH is used. The method is used for launching Linux nodes. When I say Linux nodes, means the node can be anywhere. Can be a VM instance or else can be a cloud instance, EC2. So how you differentiate these launch methods? Based upon type of OS, not based upon the type of where it is running. So your node can be running on virtually or else on cloud, does not make any difference. So how to differentiate that? Based upon the type of OS. Okay. If the type of OS is your node instance type is launch agent, so via SSH, that's for Linux methods, Linux, and for Windows, this is a launch method. Now first let's see how to launch Linux nodes, and that too of two types. What is the type? EC2 and then VM. After that we talk about Windows nodes. But in the launch methods, the method is not available. What was that? Launch agent via SSH. Now, if the method is not available, what do we do? So now here we talk about plugins. So what is a plugin? Plugin provides an extra functionality which you want to be available in Jenkins. I'm looking for some functionality. What is the functionality? Is launch method, but that launch method type is not available. Then you install a plugin. After you install that plugin, it is going to provide that launch method in your launch methods. But how do I know what plugin needs to be installed? Firstly, let's talk about. So leave this nodes part right here. We'll come back to this part. But before that, we talk about plugins. So once we go with plugins and the different ways you install the plugins, then we'll come back and then look into this plugin type, installation type. Well, so just leave that and open dashboard. And now manage Jenkins. There you have manage plugins. Yeah. How many ways you can install plugins? That's the first question. Now the plugins can be installed in two ways. One is online, other one is offline. You have online plugins, also offline plugins. So what do you mean by online plugins? Now first click on that available. So when you click on available, it has loaded all the plugins. From where these plugins are loaded? These plugins are loaded on the internet. So what do you mean by internet? So look at your master. This is my master. So my master is connected to the internet. Okay. So since your master is connected to the internet, the plugins are loaded. So it's not about where you access the Jenkins. See what we call is, this is my Jenkins. What is that? Jenkins user interface. So it does not matter from where you access the interface. No. The only matter is whether your master server, where master has been set up, that server is connected to the internet. Does not matter whether to your user interface you have internet connected or not. Your master must be connected to the internet, then the plugins will be loaded. For example, if I disconnect my internet connection, if I disconnect it, are the plugins will be loaded? No, plugins won't be loaded. So your master must be connected to the internet. Okay. If master is connected to the internet, so when you download something, so what do you need usually in general cases? You need the URL. So based upon the URL, you download it. Now, from which URL these plugins are loading? Where do I find the URL? You find the URL under advanced. That is the URL. So from this URL, Jenkins is loading the plugins. Okay. So don't change the URL. If the URL is changed, the plugins won't be loaded. Okay. Well, and where do you see that? Under advanced, then you have update site. That's the site. Okay. Now there are some cases when you click on that available, the plugins won't be listed. So there are different reasons behind it. Or else, so when you try to install a plugin, how to install a plugin? Select the plugin and you can go with install without restart or download now and then install after restart. So some plugins you can install them without restarting. Some plugins Jenkins must be restarted anyway. So now I install the plugin. So when I'm trying to install the plugin installation will be a failure. Okay. So what are the different reasons the plugins might get failure? So majorly the issues are because of URL issues. That means your Jenkins master, this Jenkins master, so not able to reach the Jenkins when your this updates.jenkins IO URL. So is what we call handshake issue. What is a handshake issue means? So your Jenkins master server is not able to reach your Jenkins URL. The master is not able to reach the Jenkins URL. So connectivity issues. And if you have those kind of connectivity issues, what do we do? You just re-establish the connection. How to do it? Click on that check now. When you click on that check now, the connection will be re-established between master plus your Jenkins site URL. Okay, so that's how you re-establish the connection. Or you can do the same thing even from updates, and there you have check now. It's already updated about 10 seconds ago. So both options are same. But so this is about your online. But anyway, let me take an example to install plugin online. So what plugin I'm going to install? So what is the launch method I'm looking for? That's a launch method. If you want to have this launch method available, you install a plugin. The plugin name is SSH Build Agents. That's a plugin name. So remember these plugins. Names of the plugins are important. Okay. So SSH Build Agents. SSH Build Agents. Sorry, whatever. Select it and then install. So it is installing. That's why it is checking for the connectivity, internet connectivity. So plugins are installing online internet. So that's regarding online plugins installation. But what if, so for security reasons, admin team is not ready to provide me internet access to my Jenkins master. This is a Jenkins master server. So admin team is not ready to provide internet access to my Jenkins master. So connectivity has been disabled, internet connection. Then how to install plugins? That's why we have second way of installing plugins, which is offline. So how to install plugins in offline mode? So let it be installed, will be installed successfully. Then back to manage plugins. So if your Jenkins master server is not connected to the internet, the plugins won't be loaded here. But how to install plugins? So then in that case, I just download the plugins first. See again. So master server is not connected to the internet, but at the Jenkins front end, I might have internet connected, but not your Jenkins server. So since at the front end I have internet connected, I can go with, so download the plugins. Once the plugins are downloaded, then that plugin I will be uploading into Jenkins. So I won't be using this available option, assuming that I don't have internet connected. Okay, well, let's try that. So let me try with an example. Let's try with an example for, let's say, add plugin for Jenkins download. So all these plugins are available under, this is option updates Jenkins CI, that's URL. So there is Jenkins plugins. The same URL you see even in Jenkins advanced, same URL. From that URL, I'm downloading the plugins. So what plugin? I'm looking for a plugin and plugin. That's a plugin. And these are plugin versions. So every plugin has a version. So now, whenever you install a plugin, always try to install the latest version of the plugin. Now, for example, I'm downloading an 1.11 plugin version, but my Jenkins is not up to date. Let's say I'm not using Jenkins 282, I'm using some other version, something like 270. Then the problem would be the plugin might not be able to support Jenkins version. So in order to avoid these versions conflicts, make sure Jenkins also plugin versions are up to date. Then you won't be having versioning conflicts. Okay. Well, so downloading that plugin, but I'm downloading 1.8, 1.10. Okay. Instead of 1.11, let's download 1.10. Let's see, will I be able to do it? Now it's downloaded. Then when it is downloaded, look at that file type. What is the file type is? .hpi. What is the file type is .hpi. So what .hpi files in Jenkins? So .hpi file types are nothing but those are offline plugins. Okay, those are offline plugins. So HPA stands for Hudson plugin. We call it Hudson. What is Hudson? Hudson. So initially, when Jenkins has come up into the market, the name was Hudson. Even still these days, some of them, they call them Hudson Jenkins. So you can call them Jenkins, Hudson, whatever. Anyway, HPA stands for Hudson plugin. Now the plugin is downloaded. Let's back to Jenkins. Now, so we are under advanced plugins and then advanced, and then upload a plugin. Okay, I'm uploading a plugin. Now choose that file we have downloaded. So and 3, download it. And click on upload. It is installing and plugin. So it does not matter whether my Jenkins master server is connected to internet or not. I'm not worried. Okay, so then you can still download the plugins and upload the plugins over there. So was it clear? Understand? Well, so back to manage plugins again advanced, and here you have something called HTTP proxy configuration. So what is HTTP proxy configuration? So my admin team are ready to provide me internet, but they don't provide internet straight away. So you have some proxy servers. So you'll be given access to the internet through some proxy server configurations. So in that case, you just get your proxy server URL and then the port number, and if they have any credentials, get the credentials. Then you'll be able to connect it to the internet and download the plugins over the internet. That's how you'll be given access to the internet, right? So real time. You won't be given. So of course that is all different. What happens in the background, that is different. But if you want to have it, get these proxy server configurations. Then you can access the internet. So these are the different things, you understand it. And finally, if you go with install, you can see what are the plugins I have installed. So these are the plugins I have installed and updates. So what is the plugin version we have installed for AND? 1.10, and the latest version is 11. So you want to upgrade it, select it, and then go with download and then install. But you see, we don't have install now. We have download now, install after restart. So especially for plugin upgradations, so you need to restart. Okay. So even for some of the plugins available, they don't allow you to install. I mean, they allow you to install it, but they won't get they won't get updated in the install list after you install it. In these cases, you may have to restart your Jenkins. Okay. So how to restart Jenkins? And go to manage Jenkins. So there you have shut down your Jenkins. Okay. Or else you can go with Tomcat restart. So that is also possible. We know how to restart Tomcat. So go with Tomcat, and then, but we are restarting Tomcat. So that is not recommended. But since Jenkins is deployed on Tomcat, even if you restart Tomcat, Jenkins also will be reloaded or restart. But there is a different way you can restart them. That's all we'll talk about them in the future. But so back to manage plugins. Sorry, setting up nodes. So we are setting up nodes now. So now let's understand all the settings. But launch method, the method is not available still, but refresh. Then launch method, there we have launch agent via SSH. Okay, this is the launch method I will be using. And then you have IP address. So what is IP address of? Node IP address. Okay, that means we need an instance for node purpose. I take some node, whatever some node, just launch a node, and this node IP address. So we'll be providing in the node settings. So get the node IP address. And also make sure the firewalls, stop the firewalls, IP tables, IP6 tables. Also so what is IP address? So don't worry about that step I have done. Okay. So that's IP address. Now back to IP address 192.168.242.137. Okay. And then the credentials. So these are your node credentials, not master credentials. So add credentials, add Jenkins, and then the username, and then user password, and then you can give some descriptions. Linux node credentials, something, give some description. And then at the top you have kind. So what is that kind? So you can either enter the username password, or else you can go with SSH with private key. I think we know the purpose of private key. So but we take that kind of example, the kind. So for EC2, because EC2 nodes are majorly based upon SSH keys, so we take that private key concept for EC2. Okay, so save it, and then select the credentials, done, and then back to the top. Now let's go through all these details now. Description, and there comes number of executors. So what is number of executors? Number of executors is nothing but, so see, one more thing, Jenkins has some beautiful concept called help. Anywhere, if you don't understand any point, click on the help and you'll be able to understand that particular option. Now, so what is number of executors? Maximum number of concurrent builds you can run on this node. So what is maximum number of concurrent builds? Concurrent builds means parallel builds. So is it like concurrent builds is nothing like concurrent jobs. So they look similar, but not exactly. So for example, I have job 1. Okay, let's take some jobs. I have job 2 and then job 3. I have job 1, job 2 and then job 3. I have 3 jobs. So whenever I run the jobs, so what we call it? We call it running or building a job. Every time when you build it or run it, for the jobs you have build numbers. So what is the build number means? How many times the job has been run. So here you see that as 1. That means job has been done 1 time. We call it build number 1. And then if you build it second time, that will be build number 2. And then so you have concept called builds. So what is the build number means? How many times the job has been built or job has been run. Now that is what is builds. Now for example, so I have a node, Linux node. Okay. Then so I have job 1. Now I'm building it. I'm running the job. So what is the build number? So I'm running it for the first time. So what is the build number is? Well, build number 1. And that build is assigned to the Linux node. Okay. And then I have job 2. What is the build number again? Build number. Again, that is assigned also to the Linux node. How many builds are running over here now? 2 builds. So one is for job 1, other one is for job 2. And again, I have job 3 also running. How many builds? Again, one more build, which is build number 3. So I have 3 different jobs and with build numbers 1 running on job. So running on node. What is the node is? What is the node name? Linux node. Now the question is my node is able to run these 3 builds parallelly on the same node? That is what is number of executors. So for example, I'm going with 3. So what is the value is? Number of executors is 3. Then I have job 4. So this job 4. So also I'm building it, but this time for the job 4, it is build number 2. Build number 1 was already built. Now what is my build number for job 4 is build number 2. And where I'm going to run this? Of course, I have only one node. I will be running again on Linux node. Will I be able to do it? Will I be able to run that next job on that Linux node? I won't be able to run it. Why? What is the reason? 3. So I have mentioned number of executors for that node is, what was the value? Number of executors are, it is 3. So it can run parallelly about 3 builds at a time on the node. It cannot run more than that. But it can run, for example, job 1, the build is done successfully. So the build is done. If the build is done for job 1, and then there is 1 executor will be available. Okay, understand the concept? So number of executors means how many number of parallel builds you can do for a job. Now, is it possible? Can I do multiple builds parallelly for the same job? I'm building the same job 3 times. I mean 3 builds at a time for the same job. So usually it's not possible. You can build one job at a time, or one job, one build at a time. So you can build multiple jobs. I'm not saying that, but for one job you can do one build at a time. But there are some exceptions. In those exceptions, your jobs also allow you to run multiple bills for the same job. That's an exception, but that is possible. But in usually, so in general cases, one job, one bill at a time. But there are some exceptions. We talk about that in the future, but that is possible. So now in that exception, you see that how many bills I'm running this? How many bills? 3 bills at a time. Then all the executors, how many executors we have on the node? So 3 executors will be busy. Then how about the rest of the jobs? Will they be in progress? No, they will be in waiting because of executors. Okay. Well, anyway, so that is the concept of executors. Was it clear? Simply, how many number of concurrent builds you can run on the job is nothing but number of executors. That's an important question. Now, how that value is decided? Why did I mention 3? I can go with 30, right? Why 3? So that value depends upon your node configurations. What do you mean by node configuration? Depends upon how many. So this is my node, okay? And look at the node configurations settings. It has only about 1 processes, 1 CPU, 1 process. So I cannot go with too much high range value for that number of executors. I can go with 4 or 5 maximum. So if it has about more processes, if I change the value, and then even the range of number of executors can be changed. So the value depends upon 2 factors. One is number of CPUs, core processors, plus your memory. Memory is important. So these are the 2 factors. Okay. So that depends upon your hardware configurations. But my system is, my node is running with low configuration. I can go with maximum up to 5, not more than that. Well, that's number of executors. And then you have remote root directory. So what is the remote root directory? So remote root directory is a dedicated space allocated on the node for the master. So what master does, master assign the jobs to the nodes. So whenever the job has been run, master needs some space on the node. That is what is remote root directory. Okay. So why the root directory is required? So you understand it later, but that is the purpose. Master dedicated space on the node is what we call remote root directory. Okay. Then give some directory name, some path. So I would go with, for our understanding, I'm naming it as in root, and the directory name is Jenkins-4. But do I need to make the directory manually on the node? So this is my node, right? So do I need to make it? Not required. Okay. So I'm not preparing it. So let it be. So let the master be prepared. So it is going to create by itself. Master is going to create. Okay. So on the label. So what's the label? Collection of nodes, right? So I want to add this node to a label called, that's my label name is, dev label is my label name. Okay, that's my label name. So dev label, and then so usage. Use this node as much as possible, or only build the jobs with label expressions matching this node. So this option, like, it's difficult to understand right now. So in simple words, so I want to run my jobs maximum on this node. For example, I'm assigning a job to the label. What is my label name is dev label. In that label, we have this node added, right? The node is added. But what if into the same label I'm adding another node? Am I clear? So now in this case, the second option we go with. Anyway, go with this option, use this node as much as possible. And then, so verification strategy, I go with non-verifying strategy. Why non-verifying strategy? When we go with verifying and non-verifying strategy, we go with verifying strategy if there is SSH configuration is done between master and the node. So what is SSH configuration means? The master key has copied onto the node. So once the master key has copied to the node, SSH key, I mean, when I say key means SSH key, is copied to the node into known host file, then that is what we call known host. I think we know the concept of SSH, right? But in this example, my master key, SSH key is not copied to the node, then you go with non-verifying strategy. But if you want to have that non-verifying strategy, make sure the file, so you mean SSH key is copied already into the node. Otherwise, so it's not possible. So going non-verifying strategy, and then availability is keep this agent possible as much as possible, or else this is also possible to take the nodes online. So according to schedule, but that schedule has to be in different format. So we call it cron format. That's a cron format. The syntax is cron syntax. So it's too early to discuss all these ones. We talk about these cron syntaxes at the time of build triggers. How do you make your builds automated? But this is regarding, so there is an option called you can take your node online or offline according to the schedule. You can schedule it. I want to take my nodes on weekdays. I want to take my nodes offline on the weekends. That is possible. Especially if you have EC2 nodes. Have some EC2 nodes. For those nodes, you can take them offline on the weekends. That's possible. But and next is the other option we have is bring this agent online when in demand and take it offline when idle. So anyone, what is the purpose? What's the idea behind this?
Only when we have jobs.
Yes. Whenever the jobs are assigned to this node, then node will be online. Otherwise, it will be offline. So whenever there is a need of the node, it comes online. Otherwise, it goes idle. Okay. But so if you go with this, the drawback is, for example, I had job 1 wants to run on this node, but the node is offline. Now I'm running that job on the node 1, that Linux node. So in order to take the node online, it takes some time. And moreover, the node is coming online, offline, online, offline. So there might be some delay for the jobs to run. So the best way is keep them running always. But if you have any EC2 nodes, you can follow that procedure, schedule them. Okay. So let's save it now. We are done with all this. Now Linux node. Okay, that's a node. It is offline. Then launch the node. So this is started, but while it is starting, it is checking for Java version. Java version of what? Master or node? Node. So your node also must have Java installed. Java ifn version. So if you don't have Java installed, and the node won't be launched, so which is an mandatory, having Java installed. Okay. And then, so what is that? This is what we call Jenkins remote root directory. Okay, so the directory was not existing, then it has created. So it was created successfully. Okay, now let's back to the node. So what was the directory name? This is on my node. So what was the directory name? Jenkins-home, that is created. And after that is created, so you can see some files. Remoting.jar, right? That file has been run. So what is the file purpose? So connecting. See, who has copied that file? Master has copied that file to the node. So why? That file has connection settings between master and the node. So that is why you have remoting.jar file has been copied by the master. If you remove the file, the connection will be terminated, but that's okay. Again, when you launch the node, it is going to copy that remoting.jar file again. Okay. But when you go to Linux nodes, sorry, Windows nodes, you don't have this jar files concept. You don't have SSH concepts. How you'll be launching? Okay, so we talk about that tomorrow. But now we have successfully launched Linux node on VM instance. But how do you launch it on EC2? Any differences? What changes you see? New node, let's say EC2 Linux, and you have a new option. What is that? Copy from existing node. And you want to copy the nodes from existing, you can copy the node, or else you can go with create a new node, which is plain configurations. So do I see any changes in the launch method? Can you use still SSH? Yes. Okay. And then node IP, right? We need an IP address. Second. So my node is running on, this is my EC2 instance, which is running on RHEL 8. Okay. I get the IP address of the node. That's node IP address. And then credentials. So what is the kind? Can I use username? With private key, because it is EC2 instance. Okay. And then, so give some description. Okay. And what is the username? Is it icon user? Okay. And then the private key, enter the private key, just add the key. So we need the key. Is it confile or PPK? It says private key, so it's a PPK. Now run this. Sorry, confile. I'm sorry. Yeah. So copy that. Copy the whole file. That's your private key. Okay. And just you want to give some description. Go with some description. EC2 Linux, something, whatever. Then add it, and then select that. And what else? As usual, these settings are similar. And executors. So I'm running that instance on t2.micro. So it's a minimum configuration. I go with still file and the remote root directory. Is it correct? No? What? I can give any directory, right? The directory name can be anything. Okay, is it correct?
Path.
Path, which path?
Username.
Which user? EC2 user. Okay. So this has to be under EC2 user home directory. So why EC2 user home directory? The username was, the default username is EC2. Since default username is EC2 user, the path also has to be EC2. Okay. Otherwise, you get some, if you don't mention this particular path, you get permission denied issues. Okay. So if you get any issues while you launch EC2 node, the only issue could be permission issues, nothing else. Okay. And then label, you can add that to same label or existing label. I'm adding that to same label, and then use this node and launch agent, and then save it, and then go to the node, launch it. You launch it. I'm not launching it. That's your job. So only couple of settings are different. So what are they? Remote root directory, that's one setting. Other setting is, so go with add and then select that. So SSH with 580. That's it. Rest of the settings are all same. Okay. So that is what you're going to try for today. So try to install plugins first. So install these two plugins for today. So try with SSH build agents. That's the first plugin. You install that in online mode. And second plugin is in offline. So this is for online. Just a second. That's for online. And for offline, you can try that and plugin. That's first thing you do. Secondly, you try with these two nodes. Try to launch an VM instance, also EC2 instance. Anyone set up master? Jenkins setup is done? Yes? EC2 or virtual?
EC2.
Yeah, anyway, it's all same. So installing on EC2 is easier than setting up on virtual. And also, did you try with Tomcat or yum install? Yum install?
We didn't install Tomcat.
Sorry?
We didn't install Tomcat.
Yeah, it's not required. If you go, yum install is easier. So this is a bit complicated. Tomcat is complicated. So mostly, even at real time, you go with that process, yum install. So it is easy. Anyway, yeah. Any questions? Okay, thank you.